YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back on the first day of the unofficial NFL free agency. It officially hasn't even started yet. We have a bunch of major moves, major signings already. I'm here to break them all down, talk about the numbers, and then give you a grade on each of these. More signings probably happening as I'm recording this, so we'll come out with those in the near future. We're going to talk about some rumors as well. A lot to come, and we already got started. We have on this channel, we have the franchise tag grades, 15 of them. And then on our second channel, if you did not know, we have a second channel, the Goat House Plus. There's a link there and a link down in the description. 3 videos up from today. All 3 big trades, I might add, breaking them down and grading both teams. So you're going to want to check out that second channel. And please subscribe to both of our channels. We'd really appreciate it. Full coverage. Got the NFL draft coming up after this. Gonna have to do an updated mock after free agency. And then follow our Twitter. That's a must follow. Breaking news, instant reactions, always talking football, breaking everything down, and answering any questions. That's a must follow. And then you'll find a link down below for our new podcast. 4 episodes out, Spotify, Apple. We'll start with Ryan Tannehill, which is kind of old news at this point. Just real quick. It's kind of old news. I gave them a B. It's, Tom Brady would have helped them maybe win a Super Bowl this year. But really, Ryan Tannehill was the right option in the long run. It is a little scary because he hasn't had maybe enough of a trial, I should say, and then didn't play his best in the playoffs, but didn't really need to up into that Chiefs game. That's where he struggled a little bit. I'm not too concerned. Hopefully he stays healthy, but the only way this is bad, it's the right choice. The only way this is bad is if, he kind of goes back to the old Ryan Tannehill, or, so just to get that one through real quick here. Case Keenum was signed. A couple Brown signings now. Case Keenum was signed by the Cleveland Browns. The deal is 3-year, $18 million, so that's $6 million per year. And my grade for that's an A. I like the signing. I think it's a great fit. You got Stefanski there from the Vikings, was with the Vikings for a while. Especially when Keenum was there. It's a great fit. It's a great backup behind Baker Mayfield. The pretty similar style quarterbacks, but mainly I think Keenum is an A+ mentor, coach for a quarterback. Case Keenum always put up these numbers when he was at Houston. He was always a good quarterback, but everyone just took one look at him and just wrote him off because it's because the how he looks. He doesn't have the measurables. He just knows the game. He doesn't have the crazy arm strength. He doesn't. Yeah, like I said, the measurables. He's just a very smart quarterback and knows the game. So I think it's a perfect mentor. I know Baker Mayfield's gonna be in his 3rd year, but just a good guy to have there to be really involved with this offense. So $6 million per year, it just can't hurt them. It's not like they didn't have much cap to play around with. They did. So I like this one. I gave them an A. And a couple more Brown signings. Austin Hooper, interesting one because, me thinking when we heard about the Falcons, kind of moving on there from Austin Hooper, I'm like, somebody's going to overpay this guy. I've never been a huge Hooper fan, even though I've known he's a solid tight end. And I figured somebody was going to pay him. I wasn't going to like it. And now he gets a 4-year, $44 million, $11 million per year. That's highest paid. And it's overpaid. I would value him in today's market, $9.5, $10 million, probably maximum. So it's overpaid. But I love this fit. Bring it back about Stefanski. What's so important to his offense? Tight ends. Hooper is going to be Stefanski's Rudolph, and Njoku is going to be his Irv Smith. It's a perfect fit. It's an absolute need in this offense. Absolute need. There was no other tight ends that were available that were going to fit in this way, and maybe there was in the draft, maybe like a Cole Kmet possibly, but they're in the position where they need probably a safety and an offensive lineman. No order. I didn't list that off in order in the draft because they do need 2 safeties. They need multiple offensive linemen. They actually got one. We'll break that down in a second. So overpaid, but I do like the fit. So I gave him a B. I think he'll be good with the Browns. People talk about he's system-based, I guess, in Atlanta. I could see it really. Unique system there. But he'll still be a solid option. I think it's a good fit. I keep going back to it. It's a good fit. So we got an A for the Browns of Keenum. We got a B for Austin Hooper. We got another Browns signing here, and it's Jack Conklin. And Same thing kind of goes for Jack Conklin. Like, I knew he was going to go elsewhere. The Titans weren't going to be able to pay him while paying other players, and I had a feeling he was going to get overpaid. Even coming out of Michigan State, I was never a fan of Jack Conklin. A good run blocker, that was kind of my take on him. Good run blocking tackle. Not going to be huge in pass protection. I didn't have a crazy value on him because pass protection a little more important than the run blocking when coming to a tackle. So I wasn't expecting to give a good grade out to whoever got Conklin. But the I was expecting to give a bad, okay, let's look at the deal here. 3-year, $42 million. That's a lot. That's $14 million per year. This is top tier tackle money. Is Conklin a top tier tackle? Oh, hell no. Hell no. Pass protection definitely needs work. The Titans' offensive line got better as the year went on, but the pass protection, when it suffered, it was a lot of time was because of Conklin's side. So that, Baker Mayfield was under a lot of pressure last year. I think they got better with Conklin, but the pass protection didn't really, at the right tackle position, did not improve by a whole bunch, and they overpaid him. But the Browns, once again, have the fit factor going for them. Stefanski's offense, you got Nick Chubb, and maybe Kareem Hunt still. They put a tender on him. So he does fit perfectly at that right tackle. We see what the Vikings like to do. They like to get their tackles downfield because they want to get the ball to their running back, whether it's a run play or it's a slip screen, which Conklin will be just fine in. So they have the fit factor going for them. But he was overpaid. He got top tier tackle money. I'm giving it a C. The reason it's not worse than that is because it's a great fit. They'll be able to run the ball and dump the ball to whatever running back's in better than ever, and they did a good job last year because of it. And they did fill in need here, and they did get better. But again, I don't think he's a top-tier tackle, so that's why it's kind of in the middle there, C. So back and forth on that one, as you can tell. So the Browns get an A, then they get a B, then they get a C at the end of the day. They got better at the end of the day, so that's the good thing. Blake Jarwin, tight end of the Cowboys, they signed him 3-year, $24 million, $8 million per year, which is actually top 5, maybe top 6 money per year. So this one shouldn't really be a surprise. I'm going to give him a D. We know he's a good fit. There wasn't a whole bunch of options from tight ends out there. That's why it's not an F. Blake Jarwin is most certainly not top, we'll call it, top 6 tight end money. Most certainly not. I know the market goes up every year, so whoever's a free agent is going to get that money, but it doesn't really apply here. He's not top 6 money. They could have got better. I would have liked them to go to Ebron route. It maybe would have costed a couple million more, but I think maybe $1.5 million more for Ebron. We'll see what his contract is. I could be wrong. I would love Ebron with the Cowboys. With Dak, I would love that. So they act like they have no money all the time, can't reach a deal with Dak. They got to franchise him. Now they can't even, are they going to get Cooper back? They couldn't pay Byron Jones, but they have a lot of cap space. They're not really spending it, but they made it a priority to overspend here. By me saying that, it sounds like they deserve an F, but what's keeping it from that is there wasn't a whole selection of tight ends. They know he fits. Maybe they feel it's safe, but at the end of the day, this one wasn't good in my opinion. And then we got Big V here. I'm not going to say his first name. I'm usually getting good with names, but Big V goes from first glance here. I knew he was going to get paid. We started to hear about it a little bit, and I knew he was going to get paid, probably overpaid. First glance, first gut feeling is, I don't really like it because it's a backup offensive lineman here. What's the deal? The deal was 5-year, $50 million, $10 million per year. So it's a kind of a backup offensive lineman. You remember he did fill in at tackle during the Super Bowl run. He was able to fill in when there was a lot of injuries across the offensive line for the Eagles there. He's able to fill in. So it's a big risk, and I'm thinking overpaid for a guy that was a backup. It's a huge risk. Really, all of these, anytime a move happens, I really think about it, and I like it more and more. And I'm gonna give it a B. I'm actually gonna give it a B. Originally it was kind of down, a bad grade, but they let Graham Glasgow walk, and he is earning $1 million more per year. So they save $1 million per year, and on a guy to me who has more upside. The Lions weren't really happy where their offensive line was at. It's it was okay offensive line, especially compared to a lot of other teams. A lot of teams in disaster situations. But a lot of upside here. They save actually money to possibly get better because they didn't really like where they were at. It could be worse, obviously. So there's upside, and that's why it gets the B here. He's going to play guard. I think, maybe they put him at right tackle. They cut Rick Wagner. Wouldn't rule that out. So I'm starting to like the idea because you can mess around with him. You can move him around a little bit. I like the upside here. So that one grew on me. That one grew on me for sure. And I'm getting notifications that a bunch of signings are happening as this is going on. So I'm distracted a little bit. Graham Glasgow, we just talked about him from the Lions to the Broncos, of course. And Graham Glasgow gets 4-year, $44 million, $11 million per year. Maybe a little bit more than I expected, but I do like this one. I'm going to give it a B. It's not crazy range where I'm going to give it an A. That's not crazy. So give it a B. Why? Because he's a young guard that can continue to get better. He's solid. But the good thing is he has experience at center and guard. The Broncos actually may be in need of both. See what they do at McGovern at center. So that's upside too. So overall, it's a solid one here. It's a solid one. Next, we got Anthony Castonzo, which is actually kind of old news there. It's going to be a 2-year, $33 million, which makes him the highest paid left tackle. Lane Johnson still the highest paid tackle, and I'm good with all that. They needed to keep the band together. It's a really good offensive line. 2 years is a good number. He's probably going to retire after that. That all makes sense. That one was kind of old news, though. Just want to touch on that because it was kind of a major one. Ereck Flowers now. Dolphins signed Ereck Flowers from the Redskins, was just on the Redskins playing guard, to a former tackle, by the way, to the Dolphins, but I believe he will play guard. Dolphins had the need at pretty much almost every offensive line spot, so they get a guy here. 3-year, $30 million for Ereck Flowers. That's $10 million per year if you're doing the math at home. And I absolutely hate this one. I'm going to give him an F. There's a whole group of people that are all of a sudden on the Flowers train. Just because he had 2 or 3 decent games last year, everyone thinks he's good all of a sudden. Mind-blowing stuff. I can make a montage of even last year. Obviously, last year was his best year. Not saying much. I can make a montage of him whiffing on blocks. Anytime he's asked to pull over, pull and block, it doesn't go too well. He's had his bright moments last year in a weird season for the Redskins. It doesn't mean he's all of a sudden good. I've seen enough. There's enough proof that, and I'm not saying he's going to be absolutely terrible. I'm not saying that whatsoever. I just don't know where you get the $10 million per year. I mean, to me, that's top tier guard money. I mean, the very top tier is $15 million, but that's towards the top tier there of guard money, and he just has not earned that. And the Dolphins have an insane amount of cap space, and they're kind of getting meaty. They get a big guy. We'll talk about him a little bit, but they kind of just, spending like they have decent amount of money here, looking at this signing. So I'm just I'm not a fan of this one. Maybe they got better, but by how much? I would rather go into the draft and get a 3rd-round rookie to start at guard. And it doesn't even have to be. They can take one in the 2nd round and start him at guard. My point is I would rather start a 3rd-round rookie for a lot cheaper. A lot. Flowers would probably be better day one, that 3rd-round rookie. There's a chance that 3rd-round rookie could actually be better. That's a crazy thing. But the difference in value is the price is ridiculous. So did not like that one bit. Surprised about the amount of people that all of a sudden think he's good because he had a couple good games last year. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff, to say the least. ARIK Armstead, the Niners, actually, I broke it down on our other channel. They traded DeForest Buckner. They decided to keep Armstead over Buckner, basically, is what happened here. And that is the right decision. The right decision, why? Because the Niners have a unique scheme. They play a Leo defense. Armstead basically plays 2 positions. He makes it possible in front and inside of D Ford at times. And he gets pressure from the outside and the inside, which is pretty rare. So it was the right choice because he's a unique player. It's harder to replace. It was the right choice. Big money here, though. Big money, and that is 5-year, $85 million. That's $17 million per year, and I'm absolutely fine with that. I'm giving it an A. I like that actually a lot. $17 million because he's a pass rusher and he's an inside pass rusher really too at the same time. I think maybe he could have got more elsewhere, but who knows? Maybe teams were scared to get him because he had one really good year. He was good around good talent, but he's such a unique player. It's a good move from the Niners. Had to be done. Give him an A there. We're moving on to Jason Pierre-Paul, and boy, oh boy, I love this deal. This is my favorite signing, actually. I'm giving it an A+. This is my favorite signing, which is a re-signing, so it's crazy. Why? 2-year, $27 million. That's $13.5 million per year. The good pass rushers are getting way north of that. And I was actually worried a little bit last year. He was coming off that injury. He's going to come into the 3-4 defense for the first time, and he looked good. Hopefully he stays healthy. It's a cheap deal. I heard the Ravens were in on him. Were they really offering less than $13.5 million per year? Were other teams really not willing to pay that? And there's teams that were kind of tight on cap that needed one more pass rusher that I think could have paid that, and it would have been great. So this is an A+ deal for the Bucs. I made a video grading the tags as well. They get Shaq Barrett back on a tag. It's a great day for the Buccaneers. That's an A+ easily. We're moving on to Christian Kirksey. He gets a 2-year, $16 million deal, $8 million per year. A tricky one because I do like Kirksey's game when he's on the field. We haven't seen much of him recently because he's been hurt quite a bit, and he gets $8 million. We see Danny Trevathan get $8 million the other day, a few days ago. I think it would be a little cheaper. I gave the Packers a C. I would almost rather get Blake Martinez back. I know the fan base is split on that. Some people, think he's underrated. Some people, half the fan base bashes him quite a bit. Yeah, he needs to be better. It really depends on his value. If he's a lot more than $8 million, asking a lot more than $8 million, then yeah, I wouldn't have done it. But I guess it depends on what else they do. They could still add another linebacker, and that would be great. I think they're still in the market for Corey Littleton. That would be great. Hopefully he can stay healthy. He's a good linebacker. $8 million is a little more than I expected, but they definitely needed something there. So that's kind of the upside for the Packers signing Christian Kirksey. And then Bradley Roby re-signs with the Texans. He signs a 3-year, $36 million deal, which is $12 million per year. And a decent young corner. I gave him a D though. I think that's $12 million, somewhat top tier money. We see the record now with Byron Jones being just over 16. I think it's overvalued, and I just don't get the Texans. I just don't get them because they don't want to pay. They refuse to pay Clowney. They think he's asking for too much. They think his value isn't there. They trade DeAndre Hopkins because they don't want to extend him. They just don't think the value is there, but they think the value is there to pay Roby $12 million per year. It just makes no sense. Me saying all that almost wants me to give him an F, but he's still a young corner with some upside. And I wanted them to keep him around, but it's just more money. It just the whole thing put together just doesn't make any sense. It's just how they go about things sometimes. It doesn't really make sense, and we kind of knew that already. So I wasn't a huge fan of that one. James Bradberry goes to the Giants. Had a feeling he'd get overpaid, and he did. 3-year, $45 million, $15 million per year, which made him the second highest paid cornerback when he was signed under Xavier Howard. It was $15.5 million per year, but then Byron Jones. So Byron Jones got the money then. So Bradberry, third highest paid corner in pretty much every category there. To me, is only had half. The first half of last season was really good, really good. Then kind of when Rivera was gone, kind of tailed off a little bit. And other than that, just decent play. Decent play. Solid young corner, upside. Do the Giants get better? Yes, but definitely overpaid with a lot of risk here. I'm giving it a D because I can't get an F because what I saw in the beginning half of last year, I like a lot, okay? But it's just there's not enough proof, not enough evidence here. But the money goes into the D because it's overpaid for sure, a lot of risk. But a big thing that goes into this D grade is they have young corners. They have young corners everywhere. They got DeAndre Baker, who they had to have traded in the first. I think he could be solid. Rough rookie year, not super bad. I think he can be solid. And they have Beal, who they had to have. Got him in a supplement draft. I think he has upside. Nothing crazy. He has some upside. Julian Love's more of that nickel. But they just already forgetting about one of those corners at least. Because we really don't see backup corners unless their slot corners play a lot, rotation wise. So they're kind of just forgetting about one of those guys that they just got, and they rather give this risk a chance. To me, it makes no sense. It doesn't really make sense. I really thought he was going to go to the Redskins but this was just too much money, so that makes sense why they didn't get him. Just too much money, and it doesn't make a whole bunch of sense to me. You think they would, give their young guys that are almost in the same boat, more of a chance for a lot cheaper too, and spend the money elsewhere. They do have a lot of money. That's the good thing. Kind of a little confusing here. And then we got Byron Jones, highest paid cornerback in every category. There. 5-year, $82.5 million, so $16.5 million per year. Xavier Howard, who is the Dolphins corner, $15.5 million per year. So the Dolphins have the 2 highest paid corners in football. It's tough because I don't really value the cornerback position super high anymore. It's just you kind of stick the guy on one side, and it's tough to cover these spread offenses these days. But where I put the value is across the whole D line, mainly any type of pressure. But now that you got Byron Jones, a proven corner that's still very young, that has flexibility, can play multiple spots, but just switch from safety to corner where he belongs, has more upside on top of that, a top 10 corner in my opinion. I love Xavier Howard as it is. You have 2 proven corners. The reason where I devalue the cornerback position is mainly early in the draft, because a lot of the time they don't work out, number one. A lot of the time it takes a long time for them to be that impactful, where it impacts the whole defense, the whole game even. But here you got proven ones. And I would rather break the bank than take a risk on an early pick. So that's kind of where the value, my opinion on value of the cornerback comes into play. So I actually do like this. I knew he was going to be the highest paid corner. I thought it was going to be by an insane amount. It's only by $1 million. I thought it would be 17 to 18 range, which is crazy, but I had a feeling that's what it'd be. It's actually not that high, even though it is a lot of money. I like this for the Dolphins. They got a proven corner, which is rare, and they got another rare part. He has more upside. Good cornerback duo. Having the proven duo will help the rest of the defense. Hopefully Howard's on the field, of course. But yeah, I like that. I like it. Yeah, there's some risk with that one, but I like it. And then we're moving on to Michael Brockers, a very recent one. Just started recording this one. Actually happened right before starting recording. Brockers, yeah, it's another tough one. 3-year, $30 million. That's $10 million per year. I was thinking kind of in that 8 maximum range, just because he hasn't really been on his game the last couple of years, racking up tackles. Just wish he'd get more pressure, especially playing, with Aaron Donald. Been a little disappointing, So I think they overpaid him a little bit. He will be good on the Ravens. He'll be solid. But nothing spectacular. I think just a little, I'm surprised their priority was there, especially already getting Calais Campbell. I think money could have been spent better in a better way in different spots. So I gave that one a C. And now we got Kirk Cousins was actually an extension I want to talk about, and it's another interesting one. So he was already under contract for 1 more year, but it ends up being 2-year, $66 million added on top, so 3-year, $96 million. So he's in the top 7, I believe, in paid quarterbacks. So yeah, this is another one of the situations where half the fan base is split. Half of them hate Kirk Cousins, half of them believe in him. My take on this is, they did free up $10 million in cap space this year, which helped them get Anthony Harris. Without that, I don't think they get Anthony Harris, and that was a major. I talked about that in the franchise tag video. They needed to get him back. That was a key to their defense, a key part to their defense. So that helped, and really, the question is, Kirk, we've seen him improve. We've seen him improve the second year, so can he take another step? Very possible. The question is, can he get them where they want to be, win the Super Bowl? Because they have you could say, elite talent elsewhere, and that's kind of the question where you kind of wonder, is he the guy? And I can make the case for really either way. Is he the guy for the long run? But either way, there was no other option for the Vikings. There really was, the free agency to hit was this year for the quarterbacks, and this wasn't the year for the Vikings to hit. He was still under contract. So it's not like they can just drop everything and get another quarterback. There was a 0% chance at that happening. Their only chance is through the draft and where they pick. That just wasn't going to happen. So overall, it's a good thing. It's not a great thing because we still really don't know. We've seen one pretty, below average year, and then we've seen one above average year. I got him to the playoffs, good step up, had some big games, but we still really don't know. But it was really what had to be done, I guess. It's what had to be done. So that's why we're in the B range there, and helped them get Anthony Harris as well. And then real quick, some ones that just happened, or some minor ones, some major that just happened, or just some I didn't have the graphics for. The Packers signed Rick Wagner, 2-year deal, $11 million. At first, I hated this because that means they're not getting Bulaga back. Huge difference between Bulaga and Wagner. But the Packers are good at developing these, figuring out these offensive linemen, and it's a cheap deal, which opens things up. Like I said, wasn't in love with the Kirksey one, but it opens things up so they maybe can add a bigger one in there. And then Bulaga does have the injury concerns, so gave them a B for this one. Dolphins signed Shaq Lawson. There's a typo in there. Shaq Lawson for 3-year, $30 million, $10 million per year. Not sure where to grade this one. That's why the question marks are there. Why that is because where is he going to play? Coming out of Clemson, I graded him as a 3-4 end, defensive end. The Bills got him in a 4-3. He never played the 3-4 end. He played 4-3 end the whole time. Was pretty much a bust until this last year was solid. Nothing crazy, solid, decent. So I still think he's a 3-4 end. I would like him there. Dolphins switched to a 3-4 last year. Where are they going to play him? Where are they going to play him? If they play him at 3-4 end, I like this a little more. If they play him at outside linebacker, which I do not see, I absolutely hate it. But I think they'll play him at 3-4 end, so I'm thinking the positive side. But why on the C range still is because, the Dolphins had all this money. I know they spent it on Byron Jones, but they're still spending a good amount of it on Flowers and Lawson. Like, you think they would be able to do a little better. They're kind of acting like they're a little short on cap because of one deal with Byron Jones. So that's a little confusing. Raiders signed Nick Witkowski from the Bears, 3-year, $21 million. Had a breakout year. A little risky because he was much below average before that, but he looked good this year. He looked pretty damn good filling in for Danny Trevathan. $7 million per year, pretty solid. There's some risk though. They get a B. Patriots signed Devin McCourty, of course, 2-year, $23 million. Give it a B because he's a key piece, good playmaker back there. You think he would take a little bit of a discount coming back playing with his brother. Didn't really do so here. Nothing crazy though in money, so it's at a B. Titans signed Dennis Kelly, 3-year, $21 million. I like that one, A. I don't think there's much of a difference between Conklin and Kelly. Conklin's going to be better in run blocking. There's not a huge difference between the two, and they save a ton of money here, so that's an A. Obviously, you'd rather have Conklin, but looking at the money, it's an A for the Titans. And the Bears just signed Jimmy Graham right before I went to record this. This is one of the more confusing deals of the day. 2-year, $16 million. So many levels on why this is confusing to me. Well, the Bears have Trey Burton, who can't seem to stay on the field. Whatever it is. Sometimes it's injury, sometimes anxiety, I've heard. I don't know. Can't stay on the field. They spend $8 million a year on Trey Burton. They were missing a good tight end in their team last year badly. But then so they need another one. That's the obvious one. They don't have a ton of cap. They're trying to look at the quarterback situation, other positions. They need another edge rusher next to Khalil Mack. And they go spend the same thing that they do on Trey Burton, so they invest that much money on the tight end position. $8 million for two guys, $16 million in 1 year for two guys. With one has the injury concern and one is washed up at this point. He has, Trey Burton's athletic tight end as well. Like that's his feature. He's kind of freaky downfield. He can run routes. Jimmy Graham does not want to block. I don't think he can block anymore, but he wants no part of it. So blocking's going to take a hit from the tight end position. And he drops the ball a ton, too. He just has not been a factor with Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback. We'll see who the Bears' quarterback is next year. This makes no sense on that level, on the fact that they're spending that much money at the tight end position, and the fact that they have 2 second-round picks where that's at the prime spot to get a tight end. Cole Kmet, Hunter Bryant, Bryson Hopkins, a number of guys. Those three mainly I'm looking at. Those guys to me are better day one, especially Cole Kmet, than Jimmy Graham, and an insane amount cheaper, and I think help them a little more in what they're trying to do. Mainly a guy like Kmet or possibly Hopkins, they can add a little more blocking to the game. So this was confusing. This was very confusing. The invested money at the position, getting a washed-up guy. What I ask myself is, and everybody, where is this going to get the Bears? Where is this going to get the Bears? What it did was limit them for the rest of free agency. It's really not doing a whole bunch else. It's kind of just putting a body in there that maybe he'll go back to the ways he was when he was on Drew Brees, but not. We don't want the Jimmy Graham that was with Aaron Rodgers. It's crazy. It's crazy. I hated that one. Confusing more than anything. So that's going to do it for this one. We're going to have more of these videos. We're going to talk all about what's going on in free agency, what I think is going to happen, what's happening, grading everything. A bunch of videos already up on both channels. Plenty more to come. Follow that Twitter. That's a must follow there. You'll find the link down below for both channels, the Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcast, everything. A lot of action going on here at the Goat House. Appreciate you for watching this video. That's going to do it. Goodbye.